Hi, I'm Ewan.
And I'm Sarah.
And this is
Popcorn and Cumin, a transatlantic dive into film and media.
with a healthy side of unrelated nonsense. Hi, and welcome to Popcorn and Cumin.
Today we will be talking about the
The-
Ballad
The Hunger
of the Games
of the Snakes
and
and the
Birds.
Birds.
Nailed
Is it Hunger Games : The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes?
I think so. A few weeks ago we did our Hunger Games rewatch,
Yep.
which was good fun. And at the end, Ewan claimed that there are no good prequel movies out there. Now, he gave us two quests. One was to find a prequel that is better than the original. I don't think that I found that. We did get some suggestions from listeners, which was great. We got, some of the suggestions were Mamma Mia, the prequel. What is there a different? Here We Go Again?
Mamma Mia 2, Here We Go
Yeah,
Again.
and that's fair. That movie is really good. The music is spot on.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's better. I don't think it's better than the
It's
original.
just a different set of ABBA songs, but
What's that actress's name?
Lily James.
Lily James. I
You
just
like her
I love
voice,
her
yeah.
voice. It's so pure and beautiful. Another one were the Star Wars prequels,
Yep.
which we've discussed a bit, and Ewan
I disagree.
disagrees. I think they're good. I don't know. They're fun.
It depends what you're looking for.
They're getting a bit more.
If you're looking
days.
for, yeah, well, I think that's because
He's
people
gonna say something scathing. Get ready.
who've grown up with them, they watch them when they were children, and then you sort of naturally just get affinity with things that you see when you're kids or when you're a kid, and then you hold that as you go into your adulthood, and then we'll like sort of, because there's so many Star Wars fans, they're taking over and changing the, kind of like the Jedi are taking over. The claim of Palpatine is they're taking over and changing the discourse around the prequels, that they're not just good but better than the originals, which is crazy to me. Crazy.
Well, I don't know. I don't think they're better than the originals, but I think they're all right.
No. If you like bad dialogue, ridiculous lightsaber set pieces, and really convoluted
You know, I like
plots,
the lightsaber
then-
fights, babe. We've had this discussion, but I like...
Do you like when Yoda was flipping around like a little green rat?
That was okay. But in Star Wars...
New Hope.
A New
Original
Hope,
Star Wars.
yeah, when Obi-Wan is fighting Darth Vader, they both look like they're about 100 years old and can barely, like, lift their arms when they're doing their lightsaber fight. Like, that
But that was before they sort of fleshed it out. I mean,
stage fighting is very lame.
I think there's a happy medium you can find where you can have an emotional battle that is still visually impressive. For instance, in Last Jedi, you have that throne room fight, which looks pretty impressive. There's less, like,
That was
flipping
cool.
around. I did see someone break down the choreography of that, and it is, like, complete nonsense. Like, some of the
But that's
moves that are being
stage
made...
fighting.
But some of the moves that are being made, like, don't make any sense.
So anyway, he still probably disagrees. He hasn't seen the Mamma Mia prequel, so Ewan doesn't know. I would argue that the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes it's not better than the originals, but I think it was decent.
I think it's better than Mockingjay.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you said that all prequels are basically bad. Do you think this was
no,
bad?
No. It was an interesting move to give us the background to the sort of main antagonist, portray him as the protagonist, and you kind of see his descent
Yeah.
over the course of the movie, or if it is a descent or not. That's the sort of, because that was what I was very skeptical. I think what I said when we watched the trailer, I was skeptical of the movie in that if they try and make Snow, who really throughout the Hunger Games you're made to believe he's even worse than from what you like see of him and just what you hear about him and the way he like, well, I mean, he's the figurehead of the Capitol, which is awful. The way he dispatches with his like political opponents and things, like you don't really see any of that, but you're told it. So I was skeptical that they were going to try and make it seem like, oh no, he was actually good for a bit, and then he just had something bad happen to him, and then, well, I guess it makes sense how he became so evil.
And remember, we're starting with
Spoilers, yeah, you've had time to
free.
see the movie.
No, we're starting with
yeah.
spoiler free.
We're starting with spoiler free.
Some people haven't seen the movie yet.
Yeah, I redact my previous statement.
The premise of the movie, which we guessed pretty accurately last time based on the trailer, it is the 10th annual Hunger Games. people not really caring about them, don't really want to watch them, don't find kids killing kids really all that appealing.
Mm-hmm.
The Capitol is trying to make people watch.
Yeah, they want to increase the spectacle of the games.
Yes, and they're doing this by having these mentors from, I don't know, the university of rich people.
I have to say that sort of side of it was not like, I was kind of like, what is this school? What are they learning? Why are the Snow's family's meant to have no money? How is he at university or whatever? What is he learning?
And so, yeah, I was a little bit confused because he wants to get a scholarship to basically go to university, right? So is this basically high school that they're in?
Yeah, I mean, they all look quite old if they're meant to be at high school.
Yeah, but so Lucy
Greybeard.
Yeah.
Lucy Gray.
Lucy Gray is supposed to be a child because she's in the Hunger Games. So and he's, I think, supposed to be around the same age, otherwise that's non-consensual.
True. As much as I think she's 18 or 20 or something, like the actress.
Mm-hmm.
She could pass as a kid, whereas I don't think Snow could. Corey could pass as a Snow.
Coriolanus?
What I did find interesting was we had lore fleshed out in this movie about that there's a real proclivity in the Hunger Games universe for characters' names to involve the word anus. So in this movie we have Coriolanus Snow and also his best friend whose name is Sejanus.
Maybe that means something in Latin.
Yeah.
That's not, but
I thought it's an interesting decision from Suzanne Collins to make those her names.
Another thing we had fleshed out in this one was they actually give you a map, which apparently there's a map in the book as well. Unfortunately, we did not read the book. There is a map in the movie as well where you Lucky Flickerman or whatever.
Flickerman.
What's his name?
Flickerman.
Lucky Flickerman.
Yeah.
Is doing a weather broadcast or something at some point. But you get to see where all the districts are. Mm-hmm. And Ewan and I were very wrong. They're not all in Colorado. And
the capital's in Colorado, which is maybe where somewhere in my memory banks, that's maybe where I got confused.
Yeah.
Possibly.
But I don't think it's really explained in the Hunger Games. I always pictured it as kind of like the capital is in the middle or almost like and then the districts go out in kind of, what is that called?
A circle.
Yeah.
Like an epicenter of a volcano or an earthquake.
Yeah, so then it's like District 1 is the closest to the capital, and then District 2, and they get further and further out, which to me kind of makes sense. Kind of
like the circles of hell in Dante's Inferno. Yeah.
Sure. They're really put around the U.S. really rather randomly, which I think, my theory is that Suzanne Collins came up with the professions of each district, and then when putting them on a map, she was like, oh, well, it makes the most sense for this profession to be in this district. Like 12 is coal mining, and they're in the like Appalachia, which I think maybe did coal mining stuff.
She seems to, in this regard, have taken a more sort of Harry Potter based approach to world building, as opposed to like a George R.R. Martin approach to Game of Thrones approach to world building, where it's kind of like you come up with an idea and you're just like, all right, this is what I'm doing, which is fine. But then when you like actually sort of break it down, you're like, does this make sense? Like, because it seems like the districts are just like assigned based on how rich they are, I guess. Why are they numbered in that way?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, that's why I thought it was sort of closest to the capital, and then therefore kind of the richer ones are the lower numbers, because it kind of just like goes out in wealth, and then 12 is just like the shittiest, worst place to live.
And was District 13 always called District 13? Because you'd think nuclear weapons are
important,
of a higher, of higher value
to some people.
Yeah.
To Oppenheimer, maybe. So Coriolanus Snow's family is apparently, or got their wealth from District 13 somehow, which is one of the reasons why they're so poor now, because when District 13 was destroyed, that is how their wealth was destroyed.
Did it say that in the movie?
I don't remember. I just read it on Wikipedia.
Okay. Because his dad is a war general or something, but he's since deceased. So I thought maybe just because he had died, like the family was...
Well, a lot of but you would think that they would inherit whatever. So I think that he was a war general, but I think that somehow their money was tied to like weaponry and creating nuclear weapons or something, tied up in that. And when that went bye-bye, so did their money. So yeah, so Snow and the fam, it's only him and his sister Tigress. His sister?
No, cousin. Yeah, but it's also not really clear to me like what their relations is throughout the movie. I mean, I think going into it, if you know it's their cousin, that would make sense, but I wasn't sure if this is like a sister. When I said Tigress, I was like, is that the same person who was in Mockingjay who had a weird tiger face?
Because I think it is, isn't it?
She is, but she doesn't have a tiger face here.
No.
But then I was thinking, am I just making a connection because Tigress sounds like tiger and she had a tiger face?
I think that's the same person.
No, it is the same person.
Okay. I don't know how. And then she, in Mockingjay, doesn't she say that it's like, it's Snow's fault that she's become...
Yeah.
What did he do to his sister? They're buddies in this one. Cousin. But apparently, when I was looking at trivia, the role of Tigress had a bunch of famous people considered for it, whereas the sort of lead roles didn't.
That's interesting.
You want to hear
who are the famous people?
Anna Sophia Robb.
Don't know who that is.
I don't know, but it sounded familiar. Anya Taylor-Joy. Okay. She's the chess one, right?
Yep.
Sophie Turner.
Yep, know her.
Joe Jonas's
wife. Divorce still being finalized, I think. Ivana Lynch was considered.
Yeah, Ivana Lynch.
She's still doing acting?
Yeah. She's in plays and stuff.
Yeah.
Luna Lovegood from Harry Potter. And there's another Harry Potter person, Emma Watson, Florence Pugh, and Ella Fanning. Those are the ones that I know on this list.
Wow.
Florence Pugh. She's not really... I don't know if she's right for the role, but she's hot and I like her.
Well, some of those names would have been big actors to cast in a pretty small role.
Well, that's why... But when I looked at the ones for Lucy Gray and Snow, it wasn't anyone that I recognized.
Right.
But we do recognize the one who does play... What's her name?
Lucy Gray Baird.
No. What's the actress's name?
Rachel Zegler.
Rachel Zegler from the new West Side Story. Yeah. She was very good in that. I thought she was a good choice for this.
Yeah, I mean, the early Hunger Games movies, the originals, did have some music in it, but... Oh, can you just imagine Emma Watson doing the music in this?
The worst thing about Beauty and the Beast. Why choose someone who can't sing? You can't edit their voice that much and make it sound still good.
Yeah, so... Coming from West Side Story and a musical theatre background, that was convenient because probably in the book this character is a sort of comes from a family of travelling musicians, it seems like. For that reason, there's a lot of singing in the movie. The original soundtrack is pretty good. We've listened to it a couple times. Yeah. A lot of bops on it.
Yeah, I think the singing is really well done in it. And apparently she did, it's all like live on set, which we have seen done badly in Les Mis.
Yep.
And, I thought maybe it just can't be done. But I think it was, you just need to have really powerful, good singers.
Yeah. Well, I think the background of the Les Mis film being made, like, it wasn't just potentially the lack of supreme musical ability. I think just like everything was going wrong. The director didn't know what he was doing, I don't think. He just had the idea, let's do it all live, and then...
Without knowing how to do that correctly. Yeah, well, I think the sound design was pretty solid in the movie. Yeah, I
mean, her voice really comes through with a lot of power, which sometimes seems a little bit, weird, because you're like, well, you are just going to be singing in, an empty room that is not, designed for... what am I thinking of?
Like the acoustics?
Yeah, the acoustics aren't set up to transmit your voice in such a way, and you sound very, very loud.
Yeah, I mean, a lot in the first instance when she sings at the reaping, she's got a mic, but she's not always singing into it. And in the Hunger Games arena, it does seem quite sort of echoey and
but there's a big hole in it, so you think that would affect the acoustics.
True. And while we're sort of talking about the music aspects of it.
More trivia. It's trivia time.
The location of District 12, because we get to see a lot more of District 12 in this than in the Hunger Games, and it's quite different because it seems a lot less bleak, They still have bars and singing, and they still seem to have a good time.
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, a lot of those people looked happier than I feel in my day-to-day grind, so... If that's what life under an authoritarian rule looks like, I mean, sign me up.
No. But then later it gets bad. Like in Katniss's time is very bad.
I mean, there's always the bad stuff happening at any given place.
Yeah, I guess. But anyway, District 12 is in North Carolina and the Appalachian Mountains. So this is like Appalachia region.
Yeah, for all you UK listeners out there, I feel you because I have no idea where that is.
North Carolina?
I know that's a state. Is it like in the Midwest?
No.
Is it in the Bayou?
Let me show you on a map.
Is it in the Panhandle?
I think it's east and like kind of the start of the South. Yeah. So it's beneath Virginia.
East Coast. It's the East Coast.
And you know what it's above? It's above South Carolina.
Mm-hmm. So right by New York if you're to look on a map.
But the Appalachia region has a whole sort of culture associated with it, which apparently Suzanne Collins really wanted to bring out in the movie, both with just the general culture of District 12 and especially with the music. And so it's the Appalachian music is kind of, well, it's what we saw in the movie. It's kind of folk country vibes.
Yeah, I would say that's one of the maybe failings of the original Hunger Games movies. Is that
there wasn't country music?
No, is that you don't really get any sense of the like cultural identities of any of the districts apart from the capital,
Right.
which your cultural identity of the capital is that they like wearing weird wigs and fashion. Whereas District 12 is just they like going in mines.
To me that makes sense because at this point the capital has crushed everyone's identity to the point where everyone is supposed to be the same.
I suppose. I think in a sort of more realistic sense, I don't think that would happen that quickly within like 60 years.
That's a long period of time.
People have long memories, though.
The region of Appalachia includes all of West Virginia and parts of Alabama, Georgia, Kentucky, Maryland, Mississippi, New York, North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Virginia.
A lot of country roads taking you home in those neck of the woods.
Apparently, Suzanne Collins is a big fan of this kind of music, and she was a country music DJ in college, which is one of the reasons she wanted to bring this out in the movie.
Coming right up is another song about sitting in a pickup truck and rolling in the cornfields, following our last song about drinking some beer and sitting in a pickup truck and
there's different
rolling in the
kinds
cornfields.
I think this is more sort of folk.
No, I mean, I don't think any of the songs in this mention beer, cornfields, or pickup trucks. So, I mean, are they really country music?
I don't know. But apparently the producer, like the music producer, something Cobb, who did it for the movie. He's worked with a lot of famous artists and country artists, including Dolly Parton.
Sarah did a motion with her hands there. I'm not really, what was that meant to be, a cowboy hat?
No, that was her really big hair.
Oh, okay.
That was to help me remember her name.
Okay.
That's sort of my background about the music in the film, because I thought that was kind of a cool aspect of it that I wasn't really expecting. So we don't have to do the Would This Be Better as a musical section. It is a musical.
To some extent, yeah.
They sing in it. It's a musical.
Some of the songs kind of are like a little bit out of place. Like at the reaping, this is right at the start of the movie, but when she starts singing, it seems a little weird. Like I don't really know why she does that. I know it's meant to be defiant, but her personality isn't really that defiant in the same way as you might be expecting.
That's something that we had some issues with in the movie, is that we couldn't quite grasp Lucy Gray's personality, what she was really like. Is she really the sort of defiant person we see in The Reaping, or is she the more timid girl we see sometimes when she's around Snow and when she's in the arena, or is that kind of a front? Is she just manipulating Snow? Spoilers happening now. I don't think we did any big spoilers up to this point.
Apart from there's a Reaping and Lucy Gray's there. Yeah, I think one of the big flaws, I would say, is that she comes across very Katniss-like in that she's like defiant at the start and is like singing as kind of like this big middle finger to the people watching the reaping and what's happening, or at least that's, I think, how it's meant to come across.
And then just to add, she also does the bow, which apparently Katniss does and was improvised.
And then they very quickly do the she very quickly starts like sucking up to Snow a bit, and you kind of get the sense, I think even Snow is kind of like, I'm not sure if you're being genuine or if you're just attempting to manipulate me because that's what's going to help you, give you like any chance of surviving the Hunger Games. While it first seems like that's what her intention is, by the end of the movie you're kind of left thinking, well, actually she just was doing that because she's, I guess, naive, but she doesn't really come across as like that defiant.
And she talks about later on how she can't stand people who lie, or there's something that implies that in the past she's had like a big issue. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I think that might be a reference to her former boyfriend, to be honest.
Oh,
but
the effect that it has on her seems much like darker than that.
Well,
but I guess we don't know what happened.
Well, her former boyfriend, because he was having that affair with the mayor's daughter, that's why she ended up getting reaped, because... Right. Is reap the correct word? That sounds a bit gross. Yeah. The mayor messes with the lottery of who's going to get chosen to go into the Hunger Games, right. And Lucy Gray gets chosen because of the connection to the mayor's daughter. So I could see why she'd be feeling a bit sore about that.
And her boyfriend cheats on her with this girl, and therefore the girl like basically kills her?
Yeah. Or
how does that logic make sense?
Yeah, it's a dog-eat-dog world in District 12.
Apparently. Maybe it's not such a happy place.
No. So the reaping scene is right at the start of the movie, and there's many scenes in this movie because there's 3 parts, which was kind of a weird stylistic choice they did to split up. I'm not sure if the book is necessarily structured in that way. Part 1 before the games, part 2 during the games, part 3
that would
peacekeeping.
Make sense to me logically. It did almost feel like 2 different movies. See, in my opinion, I think if we broke it up into 2 movies, into the Hunger Games, so we can fully flesh that out, and then after the Hunger Games, and I feel like that would give you more room to actually explore Lucy Gray and her motivations and give Snow more time to turn, because in this one, I like his turn to evilness. I don't quite believe it. What
you're meant to believe by the end is that he doesn't turn to being evil. Like, he's always been completely like self-motivated. And the sort of fling with Lucy Gray is like a sort of moment of that's like out of character for him. It's not like he was previously good and then he like morphs into this thing because he has this bad experience. It's like he has kind of been tempted one way, and then he realizes, like, actually I have things that I value more than this, such as my own lust for power and status and survival over my whatever this is, love for you.
Yeah, I guess. Because his turning point is when he records his friend Sejanus. When he records his friend Sejanus on the Crow, the recording device. Mockingjay.
Or Jabberjay, I think it is.
Oh, yeah.
The JJ.
But so he records his friend basically being mutinous on the Jabberjay, and then he sends it to the game maker.
Viola Davis.
Sends it to Viola Davis.
I think she has a stupid name as well, to be honest. But...
And then when his friend ends up getting hung for it, he acts all surprised. He's like, what? No, you sent it. What did you think was going to happen?
I think his assumption is that because Sejanus has powerful and rich parents, that they're going to get him out of trouble again. Mm-hmm. Like how Snow's life is seen as less worthwhile than Sejanus's when during the games, Sejanus goes into the arena to try and rescue the person or do something with the person he knows in the arena, and they send Snow in to get him out. I mean, they could have sent anyone in, but they're like, no, you're going in.
Right. Well, that was another thing I thought was interesting, was that even though that does seem to be true to an extent, that those people's lives matter more to the Capitol, but also I feel like there is also a blatant disregard for human life, even for people in the Capitol. Like the people at this school, these high schoolers, well, at one point Viola Davis kills that one with a snake. Yeah. She just kills her. That's it. Dead. For the reason of her lying about an idea. And then also I don't remember what their name is, one of them goes to visit their tribute because they're mentors, so their tribute in the zoo where they're kept, which is horrible, and to like give them food, and they're acting like a jerk and dangling food in front of their tribute and stuff. But then the tribute like kills them.
Yeah.
And there's not that
was
nobody
great. I loved that.
That was good. But nobody is saying, "Oh my gosh, this is horrible. We should cancel this because even our own students' lives are in danger now." Nobody really cared.
Well, I mean, and which is also weird because you'd think that would at that point would be a big blow to the people trying to do the Hunger Games, because they're saying that people don't even in the capital don't even really want to watch it at that point.
Yeah.
So you'd think there'd be even more dissent at that point to say like, you putting this on is now putting our own citizens at risk.
Right.
But they just go ahead with it anyway.
Yeah, it feels like there's just such a low value on all human life.
Which,
basically.
again, with the world building is a bit like, you sort of wonder who's really making decisions here. Like, who are the people of power?
Right.
We don't see who the president is, although his son dies at some point, who's also at the university. The president of Panem, the leader of the capital. And then, clearly, the head game maker, I just looked up her name, Volumnia Gall. Gall's okay, Volumnia, I'm not so sure. Yeah.
Right.
No offense to any Volumnias out there. So presumably she's a person of power, but then who else really is there? Is it just like these two people who have all the power in the capital and everyone else is basically fair game? Unless it's like 1984 where there's no real face of power, the personality-less big brother who is the thing in control, and no one's sure who's running things. I just don't really see how power would sustain itself like that in such an environment for that extent of time. By that I mean from the start of the Hunger Games happening until when Katniss is knocking about 75 years later. I kind of feel like the capital would collapse in and itself in that time period. But maybe with Snow, maybe it was going that way before Snow came in.
It seems like Peter Dinklage's character has or had some amount of power.
Casca Highbottom.
Oh, right, Highbottom. So during the Hunger Games rewatch episode, I incorrectly accused him of being the big baddie. Yeah.
Over Snow.
Right, because big spoiler is that it wasn't his idea to do the Hunger Games.
No, it was his idea to do the Hunger Games, but he said it kind of as a joke.
Oh, it was a joke.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Snow's dad was like, actually, that's the best idea I've ever heard. I'm going to steal your idea, like how one of Snow's colleagues tries to take credit for Snow's idea. Snow's dad pitches it to, I guess, whoever's in charge. Right. And they're like, that's a great idea.
Yeah,
we're totally doing that. Yeah.
Let's murder some kids. Let's do it.
And Peter Dinklage's character, Casca Highbottom, is forever resentful because he feels like he's now tarnished with this horrific idea that he suggested in jest because of Snow's dad, and he has a grudge against Snow for that reason.
I can't remember. We had different takeaways of whether Peter Dinklage Highbottom kills himself or is killed by Snow.
Yeah.
Apparently he's poisoned.
Yeah.
But I didn't.
I looked it up. It's like you're meant to think he poisons him.
Well, I guess I'm just an idiot.
No. I think it's not like especially clear, especially because in the original Hunger Games, you are told that Snow is slowly dying because all of these political opponents he kills. Like anyone who's dissenting to him, he kills because he gives them poison, and then he drinks from the same cup and then has to drink an antidote. And doing that so many times is meaning his, I think he's like coughing blood and stuff.
I mean, he still lives to be pretty old.
Yeah.
So.
But I just thought, what a massive missed opportunity. You could have just had him kill him by doing that same thing, but they don't have him do that. So you like to believe he poisons him, but he doesn't do his signature move.
What do you mean?
He doesn't drink from the thing.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I guess it's just setting up sort of that because he also gives Lucy Gray rat poison to use. So I feel like they're just like, look, poison. Snow uses poison, and now you see that he's always done that.
Well, you could have had him give Lucy Gray the poison and like a cure or something.
Yeah.
As a nod to that.
You could have. Instead,
they elected to have the character say Katniss twice, which I thought was kind of laughable in trying to get people to go like, Luke, they said the word. I think I
actually laughed when they said Katniss, actually.
Because, of course, the implication is then that Snow has this memory of his former love saying the word Katniss, and then 65 years later his nemesis is called Katniss, and it's giving him all this this trauma of this thing he did in the past.
Katniss starts singing a song on live TV written by his old lover who betrayed him.
Yeah, it's it must have been a real tough time for Snow, but you would say he had it coming.
All right, should we talk about sort of the end, the big sort of...
Well, I would say, just in comparison to the original Hunger Games, I actually quite liked that this one had like sort of urban feel to it, where in the previous games up to this point apparently had just been a kind of like gladiator style arena where they're just chucking a bunch of kids into this big open room, and then they all kill each other within like 10 minutes. Whereas this one lasts a bit longer because the arena gets broken up and people have more like area to hide and things, which means the games I think take about 2 days. But I did like the sort of urban feel because I didn't really want them to, I mean, it sounds kind of morbid as if I want my Hunger Games to be a bit different, and I mean that in the sense of not the movie but the actual games within the movie. You know, in the first Hunger Games it's like in a sort of foresty setting, saving catching fire. I liked that was different.
Well, then it gives them a chance of... Because then the games last longer, so it's more about sort of wilderness survival, whereas this one is just...
Fight to the death.
It is interesting that... Because the sort of rooms below that they end up getting into and in the pipes and stuff, that's not supposed to be part of the arena, right?
No, I don't think they're meant to have access to that.
So...
Why is it there?
Yeah, and I feel like the Capitol has no control. Like, if this were later in the games, they would probably just send some, like, rabid dogs after them to chase them back up.
Yeah, or maybe the terror attack was actually them all along that destroyed the arena.
Oh, I forgot that is why those areas open up, right?
Yeah,
is because
some rebel group have destroyed some of the arena prior to the game starting.
Yeah, that was a shocking...
Yeah, I didn't know what was happening at that moment.
I was like, is someone dreaming?
Yeah, I was like, is this a simulation? What's going on? That was odd.
I kind of liked it.
Yeah, no, nice. I mean, it took me by surprise.
Yeah, nice little surprise.
Yeah.
But yeah, I liked the Hunger Games part of it. I think maybe I liked that more than second half. Well, it just felt
third half.
The third trimester sounds like pregnancy, where we kind of have the after. Again, it felt like that could have been the end of the movie, would be the end of the games.
Yeah, I think the problem would be that the second movie, in my opinion, might have been quite boring. Unless, I don't know if there's enough like story left to tell. Unless it's just going to be Snow's relationship and watching him go through like army boot camp.
I want to see him go like slowly go kind of crazy. That's what, because he goes a little bit crazy at the point where Lucy Gray leaves, when he starts kind of just like running around and her voice is everywhere. I really liked that.
Wasn't he drugged at that point? Oh no, the snake bites him, which I think is why he's like bugging out a little bit.
I thought that it was because where he's hearing her voice everywhere. I thought that was like Mockingjays.
Oh, yeah, it could be that as well. But the snake definitely bites him. I thought it was like him becoming delirious because of the venom.
Could be a bit of both.
Yeah, you can't rule it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I kind of liked that bit where he just goes kind of crazy, kind of paranoid.
Yeah, so Snow is basically sent to District 12 as a peacekeeper as punishment for him cheating to help Lucy Gray win the games. And he learns to be a peacekeeper, which is basically like the big police officers in the Hunger Games universe.
But they still get to have fun at the bars with the District 12 citizens.
Yeah, and his friend Sejanus also becomes a peacekeeper in an act of solidarity with Snow, but then becomes involved in a sort of like rebel uprising. Snow eventually like rats him out, which I completely missed. I saw him start recording him, and then I missed that he'd sent the recording to I don't know how I missed that, but because then I was didn't really understand his motivations for the rest of the movie while I was watching it, because I was like, well, I don't know why you recorded him if you weren't going to do anything with it, but you have just exposed him up to massive risk by creating this recording. I wasn't sure if he was doing it as like an insurance policy in case he was gonna get blamed for something. He was like, actually have a look at this, and then he like runs away.
But
But
then he immediately sends it off.
Yeah. So
crazy.
I don't know if I just did like a really long blink at that point, or maybe I fell asleep for a little bit. I don't think I did, but yeah, I had completely missed that. So I was quite confused towards the end of the movie about like what was happening with Snow.
Yeah.
But I mean, he does seem to be a bit regretful of that because he's upset when he gets hung. I don't think he's expecting that. Or no, when he gets hanged. Then he cries after he in his like barracks after he's dead as well.
And then he turns.
Well, then he sort of
Kinda.
gives up on trying to be a nice person, I guess.
Although he still wants to have. Then he just wants to run away with Lucy Baird.
Yeah.
Just run away from all that.
But then
crap.
he immediately has second thoughts. Really, it seems like he's not totally sold on the idea because then, or at least he's like paranoid that if they don't run away, Lucy Gray's gonna rat him out for what he's done.
See, to me, it also felt a little bit like what I imagine it's like on The Bachelor. where they get engaged after like, you know, probably 6 to 8 weeks of knowing each other, like on reality TV, and then the cameras go off and they actually start dating or like are engaged together, and then they're like realize that they don't actually know the other person like at all, and then it all very quickly like turns to shit.
Yeah, they're like walking in the woods together and he's like, oh my god, you're so annoying.
Yeah.
You keep singing all the time. Yeah.
I thought that was a one-time thing.
Yeah, you don't even have your guitar.
Yeah. But I liked the ending.
Yeah, I mean, his turn comes from him saying, oh, I don't want to kill, I've already killed 3 people, that's enough for me or something, which I thought was like kind of stupid. I don't know why you would say that. I know it's like meant to be a slip of the tongue or whatever, but it's like a very articulately spoken slip of the tongue, as if he's like, just off the top of my head, I can roll off how many people I've killed. Is it 2 or is it 3? Oh, I've said 3. Whoops. And then she sort of turns around on him, and then he comes up with like the worst lie ever, where he's like, actually, it's my former self that I've killed.
I mean, he could have just said he feels like he's responsible for someone's death, and that would have been believable.
Or just said like, oh yeah, so Jane has died because I couldn't like bring him into line enough or something. I couldn't like help him more.
Yeah.
But instead he comes up with a terrible lie, and then he becomes paranoid because Lucy Gray kind of gets the ick at that moment. She's like, 2, that's okay. 3, it's too many. It's too many deaths.
Yeah. Anything else you have?
No, I thought the Hunger Games felt like really quite brutal compared to the previous year's ones, especially with like the kids. I thought when we were watching it that the kids seemed younger than the kids in the other Hunger Games. I don't think you necessarily agreed with that, but I just thought the actors maybe looked smaller and therefore younger. And then they had some not gruesome deaths in terms of like being gory, but like people's like heads hitting concrete and stuff, and you're like, ooh, that would have hurt.
The only weapons available were like sort of brunt object death, right?
Yeah.
Well, I guess there was...
Or you get eaten by snakes.
Yeah, there was a spear. There were spears and what was it? Axes? Were those kind of the only 2
I think so, yeah.
options?
Yeah.
Slim pickings. When did they get sophisticated with the bow and arrows and this? What is this called? Pew.
A crossbow.
Yeah.
Yeah. A pew. Yeah. That's a laser rifle from Star Wars.
Oh, maybe there's a dagger too.
A dirk. Could probably fashion a shiv out or something.
But it's kind of interesting that they always use. There's never any guns or swords.
Yeah, well, I think the guns wouldn't be like brutal enough. I don't think that would kind of defeat the point.
Too quick of a death.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Or swords.
Yeah, well, I was because it's generally sort of medieval weird weapons. Why not swords?
Yeah, that's true. I think maybe a sword is harder to use if you haven't been trained how to use it.
Well, a bow and arrow, you can just pick it up and know how to. You also have to train how to use it.
They don't have bows and arrows.
In Katniss's time.
They might have. Do they not have swords there? I don't remember. I mean, they do introduce like a trident at some point.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, goodness.
I thought it was completely unnecessary to open the movie with Snow and his cousin as children. I don't know what that was meant to show us.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what that was. Maybe just to be like a war has recently happened? Because that would have been... That was like right before the first Hunger Games, right?
Yeah, I think that was the end of the
big
war of rebellion or whatever that led to the formation of the Capitol and subsequently the Games, yeah.
Or to show a scene with his dad, because he becomes...
His dad isn't there.
Oh, is it just them saying your dad is dead?
I think so, yeah. I don't even really remember what was happening. There was like a dog running past and maybe like a...
There was a guy eating a guy.
Oh, was there?
Or he was like cutting off, like he was going to eat another human, and then the sister or someone is like, why is he doing that? And then someone's like, well, everyone's really hungry, and
yeah,
maybe it was just to put in the hunger part of the Hunger Games.
I guess the more you see of District 12, I am also sort of like, there's so much empty area where there's like people can just roam around. The capital don't really seem to have like that tight of a grip over this area at this moment.
Yeah.
Just overthrow them. Just get rid of them.
The capital?
Yeah. Because there's probably other sympathetic peacekeepers like Sejanus. I mean, I don't think there's like... He would be a complete anomaly in that way.
But they would just send...
I mean, Snow is the definition of evil, and he's sympathetic to them.
If they have enough peacekeepers to run 12 to 13 districts, if they killed the peacekeepers in 12, they would just send an army in. Or send in bombs, like they did for 13. We lastly have to mention all of the snow metaphors that were used in the movie. We have... I only remember one. There were
like
3 in total.
Snow always lands on top was one of them.
That's the one that I remember.
Yeah.
There was another one, I think, that was something just like snow has fallen or something, but in a punny way, you know? But, well, there's one other snow pun out there, but...
Yeah. Here's what he says. What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age. Let's kick some ice.
Here's what who says.
Snow says this. Tonight's forecast, a freeze is coming.
No, this is Mr. Freeze.
Tonight, hell freezes over.
Any about snow?
Freeze in hell, Batman.
Very good.
The Iceman cometh.
That is the songbird of ballads and snakes.
Snakes, yeah.
That is not it.
The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, a Hunger Games prequel.
Yes. Which, overall, I'd give a thumbs up.
Yeah, no, it was good.
Thought it was well done.
Yeah, bit long.
Bit long. Split it up, maybe.
Then it'll be longer overall.
But put in the right things. Okay, and we forgot to do, at the start, our wonderful country-specific trivia.
Yeah. Where we speculate, or not speculate, given our lived experiences, suggest things that are different between the United Kingdom and the United States of America.
Yes. And my country-specific trivia for this week is crisps or chips. So this is a double whammy because there are different words for this item of food. In the UK, it's crisps. In the US, it's chips. That's very basic. If you don't know that, go out and travel. But another sort of difference between American chips and UK crisps is UK crisps, now that's mean to say, is there are very different flavors in the US versus the UK in terms of crisp. So in the US, some sort of classic flavors will be cheddar, which I don't like, sour cream and onion, which I also don't like,
Ranch,
chips, maybe
Frito pie.
These aren't chip flavors. What? Fritos are a kind of chip. The pie is made out of the chips.
You have those really weird bright red and bright blue crisps. What are those? The teriyaki.
Bright blue?
No, yeah. The Takis or something.
Oh.
Those look unnatural.
I'm not sure if those might be Mexican.
Oh.
They do have a lot of those in sort of Texas and that area. Barbecue chips, that's another sort of classic flavor. And, classic, I don't know, just salt. In the UK, they really like to make crisps or crisps out of meat or with meat flavors.
Yeah.
Which to me is very strange, but it's just normal. They're just tasty. Normal here. So some examples, a classic one is like prawn cocktail.
That is an odd one. I'll admit it is a weird concept.
And that's like a classic flavor. We got a bag of crisps that had 4 sort of classic flavors in it, and it was salt and vinegar. I think one of them was cheddar and onion or something.
Cheese and onion.
And prawn cocktail.
Yeah.
Very weird. And then some other meat-flavored crisps are... Today we saw a Pigs in the Blanket flavored crisps, We have seen haggis flavored crisps in Scotland. There's
What a place.
bacon flavored, just all kinds of meat flavored crisps. I think it's very weird. And the pigs in a blanket one said made from real bacon and pork, which to me, I don't know, it's kind of gross.
I'd prefer my pork to be grown in a lab in a petri dish, and then placed on top of a
But
of
I
crisp.
always thought that when they're flavored like that, that's just kind of, it's like when they say that wine, has hints of orange or something, and you taste it and you're like, no.
I don't know what wine you're drinking. I only drink wine that has hints of cat urine in it. So.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it doesn't really taste like that. That's just kind of what they say. I don't know where they get all that stuff from. But that's what I thought. I thought it was just kind of like hints of bacon, It's just a savory crisp. But there's actually like meat in it. That's weird.
You gotta get your protein intake.
Well, so that's my difference is crisps / chips.
My difference is that soda bottles in the UK are skinny and tall, whereas in the US they are short and wide. There you go.
Are they?
Yeah.
I think they're still tall. They're just wider.
No, they're shorter and wider.
This is not something that I have really come across because I don't really drink soda. But
there you go.
For that knowledge. All right. Well, another thing we wanted to remind you all of is for the month of December, we are doing a battle of the Christmas movies on our Instagram. So we're basically pitting Christmas movies against each other in a sort of tournament style bracket so we can find the one true best Christmas movie. So if you want to be able to vote on your favorite Christmas movies so that an awful Christmas movie doesn't win, because that would be bad and sad, then follow our Instagram and get ready to vote. It'll be in our story. We have already put up our first one, and unless a miracle happens, Home Alone is going to be the victor, because thank you to the two very brave souls who voted for A Christmas Story.
So far, Sarah was very confident that the American vote, the Americans were going to swoop in like in World War II and save A Christmas Story.
Well, it seems... I personally do not like A Christmas Story, but it seems like a lot of people that I know really like it, but maybe it's the older generation.
Yeah.
Like my parents, well, not my dad. My mom likes it. I feel like some of my friends' parents like it, but I do not.
Yeah.
I might strongly dislike it.
Oh dear. Well, I haven't even seen it, so I didn't vote for it.
Home Alone is probably going to win, which is probably the better choice. But follow our Instagram so you can take part in that.
Also remember to share the podcast with people either through social media or just through word of mouth.
Just using your words and saying things.
Also remember to follow / like or whatever, subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform you're listening to it on, and rate it 5 stars or 10 out of 10 or something. If you're not going to rate it full, like the full amount, just don't bother. Thanks.
Yeah. All right. Goodbye.
Bye.